What's going on, Alabama fans? Chris Daughtry back with you guys here on the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. And coming up on today's show, we are finally breaking down this 2025 Iron Bowl matchup between Alabama and the Auburn Tigers. Look, on today's show, we're going to go over some general overview from the Iron Bowl, this matchup in particular, and some history from the Iron Bowl, some injury news. We'll also touch on this matchup in particular and a couple things that do worry me going to Jordan-Hare Stadium. The Auburn Tigers this year just have not been very good at all. Obviously, they fired their head coach, Hugh Freeze, and now they have DJ Durkin as the new head coach there. On the Plains. They're 5-6 this year, 1-6 in the SEC. Their offense just isn't very good, although they have gotten better a little bit here in the past couple of weeks, but their defense is really what sticks out to me about this Auburn Tigers team. It is a night game in Jordan-Hare Stadium, so that does make me a little bit nervous. That atmosphere, especially in the month of November, is very, very good in Jordan-Hare. And I've seen the line kind of move around for this game a little bit. I've seen it, 5, 5.5, 6. I've seen it as low as 4.5. But as of right now, filming this video here on Tuesday, the most latest I've seen is 6 right now in favor of the Alabama Crimson Tide. So we're going to break it all down here on today's show. But look, it's rivalry week. If you guys hate the Auburn Tigers, I don't care if you got family members that are Auburn fans. If you hate the Auburn Tigers, make sure you get down there and drop a like on today's show. I want to get at least 500 likes on this video. Show your hate by hitting that like button for me right now. All right, so this game right now means a little bit more than just the rivalry for Alabama and Auburn. Really, it's a chance for Alabama to continue playing some more meaningful football. Alabama just needs to win this game, and they're into the SEC championship game. They don't have to worry about what Georgia does or what Texas A&M or Texas or Ole Miss or any of those other teams out there, what they do this weekend. But if you win this game, it does not necessarily lock you in to the college football playoffs. Auburn this week, they are only playing to try to make it to a bowl game. Sitting at 5-6 right now, you got to get 6 wins usually to make it to a bowl game right now. And Alabama does sit at number 4 in the SEC standings. All these, records right now, by the way, are the SEC records, by the way. But all Alabama needs to do is beat Auburn, and you're into the SEC championship game. Whatever plays out the rest of the way in the SEC, that pretty much just deciphers who Alabama would end up playing in that SEC championship game. When it comes to the history of the Iron Bowl here, Alabama does lead the overall head-to-head, 51 wins, 37 losses, and there's also one tie mixed in there, which is kind of crazy to me. Alabama has won the last 5 matchups, so going for a 6th one now. There is not an Auburn Tiger on the team right now who has won an Iron Bowl, and I want to keep it that way this weekend. By the way, I think this is the most notable thing to touch on here. This is Kalen DeBoer's first time going to Jordan-Hare Stadium, and as much as we love to, trash on Auburn, man, Jordan-Hare Stadium in November is a very electric atmosphere. Things get crazy when Alabama goes to Auburn, so it's going to be a massive test for Kalen DeBoer, and I think it might be, in my opinion, one of his biggest tests right now of the head coach of Alabama. And what's interesting about this matchup, too, this is the 7th straight Iron Bowl where you have a different head coaching matchup. 2019, and by the way, 2019 was the last time Auburn won this matchup here. You had Nick Saban versus Gus Malzahn. 2020, Nick Saban actually got COVID, so you had Steve Sarkisian step in to be the head coach there against Gus Malzahn. Comes back in 2020, but they fire Gus Malzahn, hire Brian Harsin. You got Saban versus Harsin there. They end up firing Brian Harsin in the middle of that 2022 season, so you had Nick Saban versus Cadillac Williams. 2023, you had Nick Saban versus Hugh Freeze. Last year, obviously, Nick Saban retired. They hire Kalen DeBoer. So you had Kalen DeBoer versus Hugh Freeze. And then this year, in the middle of the year, they fire Hugh Freeze. So now you have Kalen DeBoer versus interim head coach for the Auburn Tigers, DJ Durkin. That's just a crazy stat, if you ask me, that this is the 7th straight year we have a different coaching matchup here in the Iron Bowl. And Auburn right now, they started off hot, but the first couple of games weren't necessarily the best competition there. I mean, I guess Baylor's okay. I really haven't followed them, through the entirety of the season this year. But they beat Baylor, they beat Ball State, they beat South Alabama, and then go on a crazy losing streak here and they only have won one SEC matchup so far this year, that being against Auburn. That Kentucky game was just an absolutely embarrassing performance by this Auburn Tigers team. That's actually the game that ended up getting Hugh Freeze fired. But there are some games in here mixed in. The Oklahoma game. You could argue maybe or not they got screwed a little bit in that game. Always going to Oklahoma. Seems like everybody gets screwed there. The Texas A&M game was very, very close. There was some, weird stuff going on with that fumble in the Georgia game. They lose to Missouri. They lose in overtime to Vanderbilt. So, look, just because this Auburn team right now is 5-6 on the season, 1-6 in SEC play, does not mean that they do not have very good talent on this team. It's really just about this Auburn coaching staff being able to put that talent in a good position. And we'll talk about that Auburn defense here in just a little bit, as well as the quarterback situation going on with the Auburn Tigers. But I need you guys to get down in the comment section and drop your score predictions down there for me right now at the pinned comment of today's video. Like I said, as of right now, it's a 6-point spread, but crazy things happen in Jordan-Hare Stadium. So let me know your score prediction to the 2025 Iron Bowl down at the pinned comment of today's video. All right, let's look at some injuries to watch here. Josh Cuevas still kind of up in the air right now. By the way, we are filming this video on Tuesday, putting it out on Tuesday, so whenever you end up watching this video, things could change. The availability report is going to come out on Wednesday, so I'm sure I'll probably put some shorts out on the channel for you guys to update you on that. And if there's no change, probably just going to be a community post screenshot of that injury report there. Danny Lewis Jr., he's kind of been in and out of the lineup so far this year. That's two tight ends right there. I would assume if both of those guys aren't going to be able to go for this game, you're going to see some of those younger guys. You're going to see Caleb Edwards. You're probably going to see Marshall Pritchett. You might even see Brody Dalton mixed a little bit in there at that tight end spot. Germie Bernard, I think he's probably going to be good to go for this week. But if you remember last week, there was a photo put out on social media where Germie Bernard was seen with a brace on one of his legs, so that is notable. But I do think, Kalen DeBoer said he was going to be good to go for this week, and Parker Brailsford still probably going to be good to go for this week as well. But last week versus Eastern Illinois had that right foot in a boot, so that's definitely going to be some very, very key injuries to monitor here for the Crimson Tide. In terms of Auburn, two notable injuries for them. Both guys, by the way, are going to be good to go, but two notable names. You got Keldrick Falk, who is getting a lot of first-round buzz right now in the NFL draft. He got banged up a little bit during their game last week versus Mercer, but he's going to be good to go. And running back Jeremiah Cobb will also be good to go. Both those guys got banged up a little bit last week. They pulled them out in the first half. Cobb, by the way, the fourth leading rusher right now in the SEC. He's sitting at 936 yards, so hopefully Alabama can keep him under 1,000 for the season, but he's also averaging over 5 yards per carry right now. Going to be a tough, challenge for this Alabama team to keep him bottled up this weekend. All right, we'll continue here in just a second with our 2025 Iron Bowl preview, but first, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's the holiday season. The best time of the year for sports. You have bowl games. You have basketball matchups. You have playoff pushes going on. It's all happening at once right now. And while you and I are making decisions every single day, what gifts to buy around Christmas time, what sides to eat on Thanksgiving or bring to the family, Thanksgiving dinner here, what games to watch. There's a lot of rivalry games going on this weekend. There's no way we can watch all of them at the same time, right? But there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that is on Prize Picks. Prize Picks, super, super simple to play. You just pick more or less on at least two players' stats, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in today. This is what we got going. This is my little two-pick power play for this year's Iron Bowl, going with Eric Singleton. More than 31.5 receiving yards for him, and Ty Simpson. Look, Alabama has had their struggles running the ball here, going up against a very talented, run defense for the Auburn Tigers. I think Ty Simpson's going to have to throw the ball a lot in this game, so I'm going with a more than on passing yards for him at 276.5. By the way, there is a new feature on Prize Picks. You can now get early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Follow others on Prize Picks, by the way, too. directly on the app and copy their lineups in just one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you really do like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That link, by the way, going to be down in the comment section and the description of today's video. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, a couple things I want to touch on here. Some things that do worry me a little bit about this matchup this weekend. Number one, the unknown at quarterback right now for Auburn. Jackson Arnold obviously transferred over from Oklahoma. He started the first 8 games for the Auburn Tigers, eventually getting benched for Ashton Daniels in that Arkansas game. Ashton Daniels has actually been a little bit of an upgrade here for that Auburn offense. Jackson Arnold was doing a better job taking care of the football, but they just were not able to get the ball to their playmakers. And they do have some playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. So the past 3 games, Ashton Daniels has been that starting quarterback for the Auburn Tigers, and he's done a pretty damn good job. They started off a little bit slow against Arkansas and Kentucky there, but really did let him loose against Vanderbilt. You can see there over 350 yards passing, doing some good things, rushing the football for them as well. Has only thrown 1 interception this year, doesn't have a fumble loss, so he is an upgrade right now from Jackson Arnold, but everybody remembers what Jackson Arnold did to Alabama last year in that Oklahoma game, so I would not be surprised if you saw multiple quarterbacks in this game. And the one guy that I think a lot of us would probably think should start this game for Auburn is the freshman Deuce Knight. He ended up starting against Mercer last week. Now, they were saying that it was because, Ashton Daniels has only played 3 games. They wanted to preserve a possible red shirt for him, but I don't know, man. I kind of think it was really more of, getting Deuce Knight some starting reps here. And they did start off a little bit slow. They were tied 14-14 when Mercer at one point, but man, he really did come alive. He ran for over 160 yards. He had 6 total touchdowns, including 2 passing touchdowns and 4 rushing touchdowns. That guy is going to be a problem in the future. Whether or not he's going to be a problem in this game, I don't know. I guess we'll find out on Saturday. And Kane Womack was asked about Auburn's quarterback situation and, how they are going to prepare for the possibility of either, 2 to 3 different quarterbacks in this game this weekend. He's started off talking about Ashton Daniels here. He said, I think Ashton has done a really nice job. I think they've come up with a good game plan that he can operate very efficiently, and I thought that he did a really good job against Vanderbilt. By the way, that was an overtime loss against Vanderbilt. He did a good job taking care of the football, putting the ball in the right direction, and working through his progression properly. Sometimes you get a throwing quarterback. This, by the way, he was talking about how you prepare for multiple possibilities for quarterbacks. He says sometimes you get a throwing quarterback or a runner, vice versa. They are, relatively similar in what they're doing right now. We will anticipate the potential that we might see 2 or maybe even 3 of them. But from our standpoint, I don't think it's really going to change how we see them and how we view them from a game plan standpoint. So I want to hear from you guys down inside the comment section. Who do you think starts at quarterback for the Auburn Tigers this weekend? Type J if you think it's Jackson Arnold. Type A if you think it's going to be Ashton Daniels. Or type D if you think it's going to be Deuce Knight. Like I said, if it were up to me, I'd probably start Deuce Knight. He is a freshman, so, that's, might be a concern for them. But, the reality is you might end up seeing Ashton Daniels being the starter for this Auburn Tigers team. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section of today's video. All right, what worries me, number 2, and really this is the biggest thing here, besides going to Jordan-Hare Stadium in November at night. That's always a tough environment there. Auburn's defense is actually really, really good. You can talk about their offense being, mediocre all you want, but this defense has been very good so far this season. They're number 26 right now in total scoring defense, giving up only 20 points per game. Rushing defense, only giving up 94 yards per game. That's 11th in the country. And we know how Alabama has struggled running the football. Now, I know last week they scored like 8 rushing touchdowns or something like that, but you got to be able to look at the competition and kind of the context around that. We'll see. I kind of really hope Alabama, gives Daniel Hill the ball more in this game, because every time he ends up touching the ball, he's able to fight forward for an extra 3-4 yards every single time. Not so good in passing defense, number 98 in the country right now, but they have created some turnovers there. Third down efficiency, they're doing pretty good. 36% of the time they're giving up first downs on third downs. They've got 75 tackles for loss this year. That's 15th in college football and 28 sacks. They've got a really, really good front seven. By the way, sacks is 26th in the country, by the way. They get after it. And as much first-round buzz as a guy like Keldrick Falk has been getting for this Auburn Tigers team, linebacker Xavier Atkins and defensive end Kieron Crawford really have been two of the better players on this Auburn front seven right now. Xavier Atkins right now, he is actually second in leader for tackles in the SEC right now, and he's 5th in sacks. This kid flies around the football field. He makes a lot of plays. Kieron Crawford, too, by the way, a lot of TFLs for him. Good number 5 sacks there for him as well. And both of these guys do a good job getting the football out. So it's going to be interesting to me how Alabama goes out, with this offensive line. The right side of the offensive line has had a lot of shuffling. That left guard spot has had a lot of shuffling. My personal favorite offensive line formation that they have really run out there is when they kick Wilkin Formby in there to that right guard spot, and they put Michael Carroll in at right tackle. Now, that leaves another question, though. Who's actually going to end up playing left guard for Alabama? Cam Dewberry has been the guy there for the majority of the season, but you've also seen Geno Vandermark get some starts there at that left guard position as well. When it comes to William Sanders, I think a lot of him has to, they're preparing him a little bit more for next year, because you're going to lose some offensive guards, to eligibility standards here, here at the end of the season. But it's probably going to be between Cam Dewberry and Geno Vandermark. Both of those guys have kind of been up and down so far this season. So it makes me wonder, who is Alabama going to start at left guard, and what's that, lineup going to be at, on the right side? Personally, for me, I think they should kick Wilkin Formby into right guard and put Michael Carroll in there at that right tackle spot. All right, before we get out of here, I need you guys to get down in the comments section. Spread the hate down on today's video. Spam F Auburn in the comments. By the way, the most comments, the most F Auburns that I see down there, somebody's going to get a free entry into the Ryan Williams jersey raffle. Giving that away during the Iron Bowl this weekend during our watch party. So make sure you guys are subscribed.